I'm Richard Porter.
I'm Jonny Smith.
And this is On the Other Side of Things, the Smith and Sniff spin-off in which we answer your questions. Right, we're back here at the Haynes Motor Museum in association with Piston Heads and Mission Motorsport. We're going to take some questions from the audience, starting with a chap down here who was incredibly quick off the mark to put his hand up.
And if the question is, did you buy that Honda Prelude on the Piston Heads auction recently? No, we didn't.
We did not,
but
sadly.
We wanted to.
Hello. Your outro song, would you be able to do it on the flute for us?
You know, I was hoping no one would discover this, but this flute is completely tuneless. It doesn't matter how I purse my lips or how I put my fingers over different holes. It still does the same thing. So I don't really know where I'm going with this. I've tried to cover all the holes and I get one other tune, but no. No, I'm afraid.
It was quite a long-winded way of saying no. Oh gosh. Is anyone at the back? Because that's where I'm going anyway to avoid the sound of the flute. Anybody back here got a question? Oh, yes, a man on the aisle. That's always helpful.
You mentioned the live show you had at Morgan, and I think it was you, Richard, said you'd never driven a Morgan. Is that still true? And are there any other sort of like weird little gaps in your driving history?
Yeah, I've not driven a Morgan yet.
Haven't you still?
No.
You did.
Forgot to ask. Because they're really nice. And he did say, if you want to go.
Yeah.
And I went, yeah, I'd love to have a go in. Oh, look, a buzzard. And that was it. I sort of got distracted.
You should definitely drive a Morgan.
And I haven't ever driven a Caterham because I struggle to fit. And I know they do the wide body ones now.
Now, that is a screen wash car, Rain-X screen wash car.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, as in you should drink some before you set off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always set off with a bladder full. Always.
Is there anything you've not driven that you sort of should have done in our line of work?
Yeah, there's a couple. I'm trying
Never
to
driven a Mercedes or something. I've heard they're good.
I've never driven most McLarens. The only McLaren I've driven is an MP4 12C.
Oh.
Yep. Not driven any of the others.
You should try a more recent
Well,
one. Sometimes the infotainment works.
I'd like to try. Yeah, I'd like to try. That'd be nice.
Yeah. I can't
not driven
think
those.
of
There's a lot
else.
of cars. There's a few Vauxhalls I've never driven.
Anyway, so
Grandland X.
I go up the flank of the room here. Oh, why am I doing all this? Someone at the front here.
I don't know.
Hi.
I love the fact that you're just doing it and I'm just watching. It's great.
So, sleeve valves. Let's bring up sleeve valves.
Sleeve valve.
First of all, that was me. Hi. Second of all, it stemmed from an email I sent to you, Jonny, about a chap in America who might be an SSG. Not sure about it, to be honest, because he named his child after his favourite engines in Ferraris and he called him VXII.
What?
Yep, he called him VXII. That's the kid's name off of V12 Ferraris.
He sounds like an Elon Musk type guy.
Yeah, he's a producer in New York or something. But have you got any ridiculous names for children based on cars? Because that's where sleeve valve came from.
Sleeve valve.
Yes. A friend of mine, his daughter is called Elise because he used to have a Lotus Elise and he had to sell it because he was having a child. So
There's some irony there.
And amazingly, his wife went with this plan. And, because I think Elise is a lovely name, but, I think sometimes if you like cars, then names get tainted a little bit. And if people know you like cars, they'll go, you've just done this because, honestly, there's no need to call her Marina. It's which is a perfectly good name, but of course it's sort of tainted by association.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I know any. I've never called any children after cars. Or any pets, I don't think.
What are you talking about? Your daughter Corsa SXI's here tonight. Well, because the Ferrari...
Monaro, great name.
Yeah, that's a good name.
Yeah.
I mean, Chevette, if it's a girl.
Of course. What, rather than Chavan if it was the boy? Look, I like that. Actually, Van was on a short list of names for my son. Like
Really?
Van Morrison, but then I realised he's a grumpy old git, so I thought I wasn't...
my mate who called his daughter Elise. I think he might listen to this podcast. He won't mind me saying this.
No,
It's a
because we're not
fact.
dissing it. It's a great name.
But I met him through NCT when we had our son, and one of the other guys in the group genuinely gave his daughter the middle name Danger. I'm not making this up. And his wife went along with it as well. Basically an Austin Powers gag that little girl will have for the rest of her life. I suppose you could claim it's pronounced Danger.
Chevette Danger Fielding.
Chevette
Chevette Fielding.
Fielding.
Brilliant.
Right.
I'm constantly watching Most Haunted at the moment, and I go to bed so damn scared every night. I don't know why I'm doing it.
Am I right in thinking that Chevette Fielding has or had an Aston DB7?
I think she has. And a Porsche Speedster replica, the company in Dorset, Chesil.
Chesil.
Yeah, she's got a Chesil Speedster. Yeah, well, she did have.
I'm just walking in a slightly
anyone-
sinister way
any
down the room.
questions?
Say,
There's a
anybody
chap-
got a question
There's
over this side?
chap
Oh,
just
okay, I'm coming round.
just there.
Going to walk into somebody who's leaving to buy screen wash.
It's a gold rush for that stuff.
As you mentioned James Bond earlier, if you were going to be in the next James Bond, what car would you pick?
If
That's a
you're gonna
good
be the next
question.
James Bond.
Next James Bond. So irrespective of any commercial deals which have to be adhered to, it wouldn't be an Aston Martin. What would it be? Well, that's a really good
See,
question.
it wouldn't be an Aston Martin because I'm a bit bored of this now, and obviously Bond needs a reinvention.
Yeah.
And turning up in an Aston Martin is the most idiotic thing that a secret agent can do. Oh, look, here comes James Bond. I know it's James Bond because A, when we first met, he introduced me using his real name, the silly idiot. Yeah. And secondly, I can hear him coming up the valley towards my evil lair.
I think it would be a Honda Jazz. Based upon several things. One, I'm a spy. Let's not piss around here. I need to be spy-like. Two, they do one that's slightly raised off the ground, which I can't remember the name of. It's called the Cross Star, I think. Cross Star.
The Jazz. Ooh, my back.
And I saw
People having a bit more trouble getting in. They've raised it up for you,
It's
like
true.
an armchair in a care home.
It's and I
true, you get those little things for the legs.
It's good. And I saw one in Aberdeen last week with massive panel damage, and it was only about half a year old. And I thought, perfect witness protection car,
Yes.
but could also double as a good spy car. It was just a silver panel damaged Honda Jazz, but I would probably have a Q fit Type R drivetrain in it.
Ooh.
Because, don't mess around. And probably some Mugen suspension. Or put some tuning bits from Spoon on it. I still think it's the funniest tuning company name. Spoon. I've spent thousands on Spoon parts for my car. Okay. Cheers, mate. Bye.
So there's only two parts to a spoon, aren't there? The shaft and the bowl,
Well, quite.
as I imagine they're called in the spoon industry.
Yeah. So that's my new Bond car. It's a damaged Jazz in a generic colour
Yeah.
with Type R running gear, please.
I like
And magic chair system at the back, magic seat system.
yeah.
All Jazz.
What,
owners
for
know.
getting ammo and
Sniper
stuff in,
guns.
yeah.
Sniper gun fits right under the
Yeah.
seat. Perfect.
He's always got a lot of changes of clothes, hasn't he, Bond, when he goes away? But you never see him struggling with a big suitcase.
Or creases.
Weird. Do you think he buys them when he's there? His
He gets-
expenses claims must be a nightmare.
Oh, he
He's got a
has.
trouser press, yes.
It's running on a glowing inverter from a number of USB cables and things.
When Eon Productions, who make the Bond films, are chasing all these multi-million-dollar deals with Heineken, Jaguar Land Rover, Aston Martin, they should be going after Corby because that's a more relatable product, surely.
Totally.
To answer the question, I agree with Johnny about going, low key, undercover.
Yeah.
The Astons are stupid.
Yeah.
And why the baddies don't just immediately shoot him in the neck, I don't know. But anyway, that's a separate matter. But I would get him to ask if that Mark III Mondeo from Casino Royale is still knocking around, because I bet that's quite panel damaged by now as well.
Well-
Ex-rental car,
Yes.
that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Silver Mark III Mondeo, a very stealthy car. and he can have that. But I did write an Evo column about this recently because I actually think if you look at Bond needs to, I believe now, slip unnoticed through the world, stop showing off, stop being noisy, maybe think of an assumed name every so often, and
Wear Crocs.
But Bond is also a little bit old money. I mean, I know he's sort of not if you read books and things like that, but he kind of moves in those circles. He needs an old money, stealthy car. Subaru Legacy Outback.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Or a Vauxhall.
Police Vauxhall.
An ex-police undercover Astra with no wheel trims in non-metallic green. Oh, here he is.
Just
Didn't
imagine,
notice you there, James
imagine
Bond.
the
if that is your
swooning
name.
ladies as he pulls up in his diesel Astra with wheel trims missing.
Has anyone else got a question that Jonny can come out to the room and ask you? Because my knee hurts.
Been giving Bond a hard time here. What inconspicuous car did you take on your recent spy mission? I can't quite remember what it was.
I slipped my mind now because it was so stealthy. I don't know. It was like a light mist of a car that you just... A grey Toyota Carina E, I think. Something like that. Yeah, just like a mist moving across the horizon. Put James Bond into a lorry. Again, quite hard to do a chase, though, maybe. I don't know. Depends. You could drive them off the road. It's true. Again, we're into an expenses claim, though, and I do worry about Bond's expenses when he has to go back and go, 16 martinis in a hotel bar? They were 16 quid each, you prick.
Hi, guys. Two-part question here. Firstly, when you first started recording stuff together, did you ever consider the name Porter and Pervert, brackets car, for your duo? And on that side of things,
Brackets car.
my girlfriend here calls you Pip and Squeak. Do you have any other names that you've heard for your duo?
Yeah, we get called Scratch and Sniff quite a lot.
That's what Clarkson calls us.
No, he said to me, "How's your podcast going, Sniff and Pervert?"
Yes, that's it.
I think he was searching for something else. And rather uncharitably, are there still children in the room? And if there are, could the parents please cover their ears for a minute? Because I heard somebody rather uncharitably calling us piss and shit.
That's the best one.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It was almost as good as Sniff and Pervert brackets car.
What's it? Pip and
Oh, sorry,
Squeak?
Porter and Pervert brackets car.
There's a children's book in us
Is there?
somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yeah, the Gibbons will find it at Longleat.
Do we have another question? Oh, there we go. Nice and close.
For the benefit of the tape, on the chair in front of Jonny is a Rancho depicted on a cushion.
Yes, it's a scatter cushion. Yeah.
Two questions then. Why have you got it? And Jonny, where's yours?
Okay.
It's a good question.
We were gifted it by a Patreon, and it lives in the back of the Eagle Quest most of the time, along with an actual eagle. No, not when I say an actual eagle. I mean a plushie.
No, stop
toy.
calling the RSPB. It's okay.
A
It's a
plushie
fakie.
toy of an eagle, a large one. My Rancho is, thanks for asking, it was moved from Cornwall to Worcestershire just before Christmas, and it's still there, and I've not seen it yet since I bought it back in March last year. The guy that transported it from Cornwall went, "It's really rusty, Jonny." And he gave me a piece of it, which is actually in this box. Thanks for asking. Is it? Oh, no, it's not in this box. It's in a different box.
So I was
did
about
bring
to
it with
ask,
me.
you haven't actually been in the presence of your Rancho,
I haven't seen it yet.
but I forgot you have been in the presence of a bit of your Rancho
Yes.
that fell off through
part
rot.
of was when he was ratchet strapping it down on the wheels, a bit of the sill fell off. And so I know what I'm getting into. You know, this is going to be a tricky relationship.
Yeah.
But when you want to buy a certain car and there is only one of them available in the whole of the United Kingdom at that moment in time, you can stall it all you want. But the attraction is there. It's going to happen.
I mean, it's yours now. You
I
own
bought it. Yeah, I bought it.
Good.
Before it went to market, as they say in premium car circles. Yeah, I managed to agree.
Did they say that in...
Well, you know, it's like hypercars. They don't come up for sale officially. It's just like you're a moneyed guy and I'm a moneyed guy. And there's a
I see.
middleman who says, this guy's got the thing. It's like McLaren F1s. They never come up for sale. They're just purchased through the through the undercurrents of...
It's like migrating animals.
Yes,
There's not one of them just goes, right, lads, time to go. It just sort of, it's there, isn't it? It's instinctive. It's in the air.
They just move to warmer
It's just the difference
waters.
between the birds and the supercars is Harry Metcalf doesn't know about the birds.
Yeah.
But I bet he knows about the supercars because he's plugged into that world.
Oh, yeah.
I would assume.
So that's the story. It's not really much of a story, but rest assured. Yes. No, it's not.
Yes. This is why you don't get invited on Parkinson.
You'll know more about the Rancho soon off of YouTube.
I meant to say Graham Norton, of course. Parkinson's dead. That's the other reason Johnny doesn't get invited on Parkinson. Because I'm dead.
Are we ever going to see you two SSGs ever on video again?
Are we going to be on video? So we get asked this question a lot. And actually, as long-term viewers / listeners will know, we were a video before we were a podcast. And we've been a podcast now for 5 years.
Yes, someone asked me that the other day, and I
5 years.
suddenly realised it. And with
But how many years
horror.
were we in video form? It must have been at least 2.
4.
4. Shit, that's more than
maybe?
2.
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. So, in an ideal world, I would like to do a video. I always say this, Tim. I'd like to do a video every quarter, and I'd like to do an actual trip somewhere, usually somewhere dismal, if we can. Baldock, yeah, for example. And actually, there are some pretty big houses in Baldock, but the service is less so. And so we'll probably do that. But we
We'd
need to
like
be,
to, but
we
it's
need
one
to
of
be
those
YouTube
things.
about it and get a sponsor.
We spent actual cash money making our last video, the James Bond drive through London, because we had a videographer and dinner suits. Decided not to dress as Baron Samedi, just went because we were on the way to a Bond premiere. And,
I didn't want to have to push the bag back in.
And it like about 6 people watched it.
Airbag. And don't be grotty. Don't be grotty.
Yeah, it was like it cost us money to do, and then almost no one watched it. It was a bit like, well, we probably shouldn't bother, but I don't know. Maybe it doesn't.
We'll find them.
We'll find a way.
I
I meant to talk to you about this because, sorry, we're now having a meeting
yeah,
on stage.
fine. I'm here. So
Because the other thing was, we were like, well, part of the problem is we don't post videos regularly, and YouTube seems to reward regular video posting, as you know. I was talking to someone last week who is really on top of YouTube and really understands it. And I said, oh, it's always the algorithm punishes you. And he went, there's no such thing. I was, what?
What?
And he went, it's a common misconception that it works that way. And it doesn't. And I was like, oh, maybe we should do some Smith and Sniff videos then, but do just like 1 a quarter or something like that. I don't know. We'll get round to something.
we have a few ideas.
We've got one idea that I would really, really like to do, but it would cost a lot of cash money because it would involve going to the abroad, and it would involve getting a friend of ours along as well. And
the trailer.
I don't know. He might own it. No, he doesn't own a trailer. You don't know who I'm talking about.
No, I've got no idea.
Anyway,
Which guy? Hang on.
hold on. That's the one I really want
That's
to
a
do.
good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should happen.
Yeah. But it's
yeah.
quite an undertaking. So anyway,
This
at
is
some point we would love
it's
to do
really
it again.
handy for the people who are listening or in the room. It's really handy.
But the problem is also time, because obviously Johnny has, got his own channel that has to be prioritised because that's his job, and I do whatever I do, and we can do a podcast reasonably quickly, and a video takes a while, particularly if we edit it ourselves, which we are not great at. So, yeah, one day though, because we did a thing. If those of you who are on our Patreon, we asked last week with what people would like to see from us in 2025, and they took it very literally and went, we would like to see you. Could you do some videos, please? Was the number one request. So at some point we'll give it a try.
most podcasts are video these days, as you know, so you watch them as well as listen if you want.
Oh, well, that's a whole separate avenue.
That's a separate
avenue
story.
of pain.
All I'm going to say is that's the reason why we're not always number one automotive podcast in the UK, according to analytics.
Well, I went on the Undertrouser podcast at the end of last year, and they do it in a studio with a camera rig and proper microphones like grown-ups.
And dancers.
It was lovely. Andrew and Dan are lovely people, and I was very flattered to be asked to go on it. But when I sat in their studio, I was a bit like, oh no, the bar is really high now. Jonny and I don't have any of this. We just have us two talking into some microphones that we got from Tandy. And we do not have the wherewithal to record it in a professional way.
I realised I actually stole my microphone that we record the podcast on.
What?
Yeah, I borrowed it from someone and never actually gave it back. Only occurred to me about a year ago. It was 6 years ago that I borrowed it.
But you were able to very specifically give me the spec of the mic so I could buy an identical one, so at least things would sound... But I assumed you read it off a receipt, not from a filed-off serial number.
No.
Wow.
No, it was... I wish I hadn't said this out loud now, but no, I borrowed it.
I think I know who you stole it off as well.
Yes,
I just realised.
I know,
Okay. Right. Any more questions? Oh, there's one at the back. I'm going to do this. Cover me.
Okay, Richard's running, and it's quite an impressive run, actually, Rich, because you said you had a bad knee a while ago.
Hi, guys. My question's a bit linked to the previous one. Money, no object. If you could do a road trip together somewhere for Smith and Sniff, where would you go and what would you drive?
Good question.
Money, no object, big, bold words. I would love to. It's a dream car, which is stupid and probably ultimately disappointing, but I think it would be perfect for Smith and Sniff. I would have a Panther 6 made because there's only two of them in existence and I think one of them's broken. I would have one remade and we would drive it somewhere. I'd like to drive it across. I'd like to do Route 66 in America because I know it's cliche, but I've actually never done it. I'd like to do it very much, avoiding as many fires, guns, racial tension as possible. If that's what I would like.
Well, I think nothing would unify a divided nation like a six-wheeled one-off recreation. What engine was in the Panther 6?
Cadillac.
Oh, there you go. Be able to get the bits then.
501, 502 cubic inch,
Oh,
8-litre Cadillac, twin turbo.
I don't know what I'd do. I quite like your idea, the Panther 6, but I think, money no object, we're being followed by a car transporter, and every so often we just pull in and we buy something. And we put it on the transporter, and money is no object. So the transporter is being driven by Scarlett Johansson. Because A, I think she'd be quite good company, and B, she's got an HGV license, I imagine. Because she's so versatile.
No, because this is money no object, so we put her through her HGV driving test.
Scarlett, we need you in Daventry next Monday. She got an HGV test.
Maybe it's not a full car transport. It's one of those cab-over-engine Mitsubishi Canters that she's overloaded massively.
Oh.
So it's practically wheeling. One of those ones. You see them a lot in India where they're loaded with so much sort of like tea and boxes, and they go around a very small corner and they always fall over. For some reason, my Instagram is loaded with those things constantly. An overloaded canter.
Okay. Well, there we go. So we're driving across America in a Panther 6, but Scarlett's behind us in an overloaded canter.
Done.
Good.
Any other questions?
Last one, I think.
That was quick.
I'm thinking that if we decide we've bought more than the cars that will go even on Scarlett's overloaded canter, that perhaps a second canter, driven by Lady Gaga. Again, she seems fun.
Guys, as we head this up, that's okay. Guys, as we finish up here at this wonderful institution, can I ask you what your favourite car museum in the world is? And if you could take home one exhibit from it today, or any day, what would that be? I would have the Duesenberg from here.
Ooh, good choice.
That's a very good... have they still got the cord here? Because I know they had a cord. Yeah. I'm going to come back here on a quiet day on my own. That's how I enjoy museums mostly.
You know, the RAF
I don't like
museum
rushing a
in
museum.
Hendon in North London. On rainy days at the weekend, I used to take my kids there because it was free to get in, and they just used to like tearing around. and they had some sort of interactive stuff that you could do. And I always vowed that one day I would go back on my own so I could actually read the bloody descriptions of the planes and learn stuff. Because I'd just go, oh, this one seems to be from, no, put that down. And I'd have to run off and I'd never get to read anything. And I never got around to it when I lived quite nearby. But this is a fantastic museum, no doubt. And I'm liking the sound of the Duesenberg. But I would have to say that for pure nerdishness, my favourite is probably the British Motor Museum at Gaydon, because they've got all that prototype stuff in there. I think I might walk off with that Metro van that's actually an MGF underneath.
Well, I am going to come back here to just have a reacquaint. I have not been in this museum since I was 9, so I've got some catching up to do.
Pop home, get the Cub Scout uniform.
The most recent museum I went to. Yeah. The most recent museum I went to was in Florida, a place called Dieselland, and they had quite a large James Bond room, which is definitely worth visiting. And they've got they've got a couple of lesser known B-side Bond cars, like Piers Brosnan spec Lada Niva from. Yeah, really cool.
Is that from? Oh, not from Living Daylights.
Tomorrow's Never Died Yet, or something.
One.
Yeah, one of them.
And Tomorrow is just today's yesterday.
Yeah, but they've got one of the AMCs from Man with the Golden Gun.
Ooh,
which I was digging, but I think it would probably be the Toyota 2000 GT convertible because it's an incredibly rare piece, and I couldn't stop staring at it because it just looked wild. So that, but I'm going to come back. Haynes don't know this yet, but I'm going to come back with a sleeping bag, and I'm going to come back with a takeaway dinner. In a foil wrap. In fact, you're going to come with me. We're going to have a lock-in.
Johnny is obsessed with night at a car museum.
Yeah, maybe that's our next
in case
video.
You hadn't guessed.
They might.
Well, I came down here last week to have a look at this room because I only live up the road, and the marketing chap from here said, if you ever want to do anything else for your podcast or for Johnny's channel, and as soon as he said that, I was like, oh God. We're doing Night at the Museum now, aren't we? I didn't mention it to him. I thought I'd leave that to you.
Pack your sleeping bag. You've pulled.
So that'll be me running away in Crocs and tracky bottoms the next morning.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks very much for coming. Much appreciated.
Thank you, everybody. We really do appreciate you coming down here and putting up with this low-quality entertainment on a Sunday morning. We will do this all again somewhere very soon. But for now, goodbye.
Bye. Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate. Bye.